Hey everybody, this is Robert Burke. I'd like to welcome you back to episode 3 of When to Play. And in today's episode, we're going to be visiting feudal Japan. I have a heavier Euro game that we're going to be talking about today called Edo or Yedo. I'm not sure the pronunciation. I guess it depends on where you live in the world. But this is the box. It's a nice big thick, heavy box, and it's by Queen Games. This is a game that I kickstarted a while ago, and it's something that I love to play. I don't get it to the table very often, but it's filled with a lot of high quality wood bits. It's got a bunch of tiles and player slates that are nice and thick, and they're high quality components as well. The board is beautiful. I'll show you the board here. Let me undo it. The board is double-sided, and Edo is for 2 to 4 players with the base game, and you flip the board depending on how many players that you have in the game. Now, there is an expansion that is out now. I think it just came out, that expands it to 5 players. So you can really play the game now with 2 to 5 players. You'll see that the board it's a beautifully designed board. However, the feudal Japan theme of the game, I must say, it's really, I hate to say it's pasted on, but it's really kind of disconnected from the mechanics. So if you're a historical gamer, if you're a war gamer, and you love to relive history in the games that you play, Edo can look like it's a historical game because of the artwork, because of the graphic design, because of the theme. It's very well done, but it's really not, you're not reenacting any real historical event when you play this game. So if you're a historical gamer, it's not what it might seem on its surface. Now, the premise of the game is you are in feudal Japan, and you have officials and you have samurais, and they are little wooden meeples that you see here. And you are trying to gain control of different cities by building buildings around them. There are little rectangles around each city here. This is Edo, for example. And you'll see an arrow here that shows you the direction in which players can build buildings in Edo. To win the game, you have to have at least 1 building in Edo, and you are going to gain income for every city that you have influence in. So these red circles here, those are cities. So if you're the first person to build a house in a city, you are going to gain income from that city, and a good amount of income. But as other players start to build there, the amount you earn is going to go down as the other players take a piece of it. So there are diminishing returns as you develop in these different cities. The first person in, if you're the only person in at the end of the round, when you collect your taxes from those cities, you're going to gain more. However, if there are multiple players in there, you are going to gain less, and then whoever has the second most influence is going to gain less than you, and whoever has the third most influence is going to gain less than what the second player has. So the game, as it goes on, you're going to be trying to collect the most income from your cities, but you're also going to be collecting resources from these other spots. And there's a few resources in the game. There are stones, which are gray cubes. There is wood, which are these brown these brown log-looking things. And then there is rice, which we kind of laugh. They look like marshmallows. We call them marshmallows, but they represent rice. So the rice you need to feed your samurais. And that's an important resource because at the end of every turn, every samurai you have on the board, if you can't feed that samurai, you have to take him off the board. So you have less players on the board to work with. So you've got to really manage how many samurais you place on the board every turn, keeping that food in mind. So it's really a heavy Euro resource management game. If you like worker placement, if you like games where you collect resources and build things with those resources that you collect and earn and build an economic engine, then you're going to enjoy this game, and it's one that I highly recommend that you try if you like those things. Also, on top of that, there is a twist in this game for a Euro game. You do not place, it's not a worker placement like I place one and you place one and the next player places one and it comes back to me. Everybody plans what they're going to do during a planning phase. All the players plan their moves ahead of time. You pre-program them. And you do that with these player slates. So you'll see this player slate here is for the blue player. So the blue player, what they're going to do is, and all players will do this, is they're going to have a tile. They're going to have these tiles that give them different actions that they can do on their turn. So the starting tiles have 4 different actions that you can do on your turn. Here's like a green basic tile that the green player is going to start with. So each color player is going to have 3 of these. So you're going to have to decide, okay, which one of these 4 actions do I want to do on my turn? You're going to place this face down onto your slate, your player slate here, and then you're going to reveal them one at a time by flipping it over. So on turn 1, if you put this one face down, so it looked like this, that's collecting wood, you would be able to collect wood from a wood space as long as you have a samurai on a wood space. On this one here, this one is enabling you to build on a space where you have a samurai in a city. So this is where you have to spend your resources and money to build buildings and gain influence, hopefully to build your economic engine and score victory points. This one here lets you gain rice. So again, you're going to need rice to feed your samurais, so this is a very important one to have. So you'll see on the bottom here, there's little people. On your player board, there are also little people. You'll see 4 of them. So you can place up to 4 officials directly on your board behind your tiles to collect up to 4 marshmallows for those officials that you utilize. So there's a lot to think about. You have to manage your officials, you have to manage your samurais, you have to manage your money, you have to manage your resources, you have to really think about and plan not only what actions do you want to take, but what order do you want to take them in? Because you could, for example, maybe you want to collect wood this turn and your samurai is already on a space that gives you wood. But if you're going third and there's other people around you, they might end up on your wood space. And if there are 2 samurais on a wood space, it's diminishing returns. You're not going to get as much wood as you thought you were going to get. It's something that takes a lot of strategy. There's a lot to think about. So if your group suffers from analysis paralysis, I would not recommend this game. If you have players that really spend a lot of time every turn, it can make the game drag on, and it can take way too long to complete. So that's something you need to keep in mind, is how quick is the group you're playing with. If you are I already said, if you're a history gamer or a war gamer, I don't think this is for you. This is really a game that is for Euro gamers. If you're a Euro gamer, I think this is a game that you've got to try it, especially if you like heavier Euro games. It's something that is a must play. Now, the rule book, first of all, comes with a great setup sheet. There is some setup involved in the game, so that makes it a lot easier to have that. The rule book is not that many pages. I think it's about 6 pages, but it is sufficient. It does a good job at showing you how to play the game and what the rules are. So it's not going to take a whole lot of time to learn how to play the game. And it's a good reference to the first couple times you play, you're going to find yourself referring to the rule book. And when you do that, stuff is pretty easy to find. So Queen Games did a good job with the rule book. The components, again, are gorgeous. The artwork and graphic design is wonderful. But if you are a casual gamer, this is not a game you want to jump into. This is not a game you want to bring to your family reunion to break out. It's not a party game. It's got not a lot of player interaction. This is more a game where people are spending most of their time and most of their turn thinking. Now, obviously, different personalities can change that, right? If you have a group that's lively and likes to joke, there's opportunity in any game for that to happen. But Ito does not drive those interactions. So is Ito right for you? That's the question. That's what we're trying to get to here. I would say that if you consider yourself a Euro gamer, then yes, this is a game you want to try. Especially if you like medium to heavy weight Euro games. This is something you really have got to get to the table and give it a shot. The resource management aspect of it, the worker placement aspect of it, building that economic engine, those are things that we've seen a lot before from other designers in other games. But if you like those mechanics, then you will like Ito. But Ito has something different in it. It's got this pre-programming aspect where you are taking you're programming the actions you're going to take on a turn without anybody seeing what you're going to do, and you don't know what anybody else is going to do. So that does give it enough of a twist to make for a unique and exciting experience. So if you are a Euro gamer or a strategy gamer, then you should definitely try this. So my suggestion would be, before you break out this game, make sure you're playing with a group of people who are Euro gamers or enjoy Euro games and don't have a big problem with analysis paralysis. Maybe you can introduce them to it later after they've watched some sessions, but that's definitely something you need to keep in mind. If you are a casual gamer or do not like long games, then this is a game you want to avoid. You're probably not going to enjoy it. It'll feel dry and it might feel slow to you. There is a lot of analysis that has to go on to make sure you're taking the optimal move every turn. So if you have a problem with games like that, if you like more open or random or interactive games, then you probably want to avoid Ito. There's not a lot of opportunity for interaction between players. It's more of you're on your own, you're really thinking and planning, trying to make the optimal decisions to be victorious at the end of the game. So I like this game. I enjoy games like this, but this is a prime example of this is a game that you really have to know when to pull it out. You should know the players that you're playing with. I would not pull this out at a game night if you've got new players you've never played with before and you don't know what appeals to them, right? And unless you've talked to them beforehand. It's an investment, and some people would consider this a brain burner, but it's worth every minute if you like this kind of thing. So I hope this helped you decide whether Ito is something you should play or not. And if you do decide to play it, come play it with us at Gaston County RPG and Board Gamers in Belmont, North Carolina. I'm Robert Burke. Thanks for watching episode 3.